One thing I will not do for you, older man, older woman, I will not pretend that I am less intelligent to make you feel better about what you did not accomplish in your 20s. I will not do it. If that triggers you and make you feel bad, good. That's the whole point. I don't speak to comfort people and make them feel good about being losers. You're an absolute loser if you speak down to somebody and try to make them feel that they can't do anything right because you see them as an easy target because they're naive and young. And the older generation has a hard time differentiating between abuse and discipline. Oh my goodness, y'all. I just gotta talk about it. I got to talk about this. I gotta do it. It's about authority figures and respecting your elders, right? Now, I'm in my late 20s. I have been in this, dilemma because consistently growing up, especially with, in the black community, you hear respect your elders. The older people are supposed to be authority figures and your parents and all these things. And my question is, how are we supposed to respect our elders and our alleged authority figures if these very same people molested us, verbally abused us, gossiped about us to other family members so that the whole family can be against us, tried to convince us that we were not wise, not intelligent, that we were not valuable, that our voices were not worthy to be heard? I had a friend, she's no longer my friend, a few years back, who was very close to my age, she was maybe a couple of years older, whose mother molested her as a child. I also had another friend who was my friend from middle school all the way up until, I think we stopped being friends when I was like 26, maybe 25, something like that. We were friends from age 13 to 25. And I watched this friend sit on the steps of our high school and cry about her stepfather abusing her, and cry about in middle school when she was 13, confessed that her father had R-worded her. This is real life, and some people may not want you to talk about it, but I feel like that's really more of a reason why I want to talk about it, because you can't tell somebody, oh, don't talk about that, that's too serious. But life is harsh, and life doesn't care that being taken advantage of by a grown man as a child, life doesn't care that that's too much to deal with. Life will have it happen to you anyway. So why should we not talk about it? If anything, the number one thing we should be able to do is talk about it. So I'm making this video out of serious and genuine concern. A lot of the times, with my experiences with older people, the older generation, they are very disrespectful. And it started with my mother. Okay? Older people, from my experience, co-workers, teachers, all types of stuff. Lately for me, it was like this one job I had with these co-workers, and it was like a job where it was like a lot of older people because I was working at a library. And I noticed a pattern. A lot of the older people they would like bully the younger employees, and they would like try to make us feel like that we couldn't do anything right. And they would always we will be doing our job, and the next thing you know, like, we were doing our job exactly the way that they told us, and the next thing you know, they would come by and be like having a little meeting with us saying that we sucked at our jobs. And it was kind of like a sorority initiation kind of thing, where they would nitpick and judge you and make you feel bad to see how much abuse and judgment that you could handle. And a lot of times I had a manager who would scream at the co-workers and make them cry, and of course some of the people were not younger people, that was just her personality. But all I'm trying to say is that from my experience, a lot of older people are very toxic, and just mean. Just mean. And they feel that it's just a way of life. I'm mean because y'all need discipline. I'm mean because da-da-da-da. And it's like, you're mean because you're insecure. Okay? You're mean because you're insecure and you're bitter and frustrated about the things that you didn't do right in life. One thing I will not do for you, older man, older woman, I will not pretend that I am less intelligent to make you feel better about what you did not accomplish in your 20s. I will not do it. If that triggers you and make you feel bad, good. That's the whole point. I don't speak to comfort people and make them feel good about being losers, okay? You're an absolute loser if you molest a child in your 40s. You're an absolute loser if you speak down to somebody and try to make them feel that they can't do anything right because you see them as an easy target because they're naive and young. You're an absolute loser. You're an absolute loser to take advantage of a child sexually if you're an adult. You're an absolute loser. I had a man who was 60 years old. At the time I was 27. I'm 28 now. And sit at the front desk and ask me, was I a top or a bottom? At the front desk of a library where customers could hear. Luckily, there were no customers around, but he chose to say that when nobody was around, obviously. Then he went on to say other things and said I seemed like I had some good P word and made me feel very uncomfortable. But I don't even want to go into the details of that. All I'm saying is that there's a reason, older generation. Oh my God, you guys are not saints. You guys are not saints. Listen to what I just said at the beginning of this video. I had a friend who was R-worded by her father. She was 13. Another person who was M-worded by her mother when she was like 6 years old. Y'all are not perfect. Oh my God, some of y'all are monsters. And we have to submit and pretend that we don't think about these things. Pretend that we are not traumatized by y'all behavior. We deserve a chance to love life. We deserve a chance to be confident in ourselves. But those chances, a lot of times, were attempted to be snatched away from us by our own parents. And we were not allowed to call it out, and we're not allowed to act like we see it. We're supposed to pretend that we don't notice that these people are trying to take us down and trying to force us to do things we don't want to do. We continuously say, Mom, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go to that school. I don't want to go work this job, or I don't want to do that. That makes me feel sad. And the parents say, suck it up and deal with it. I had to do it, so do it too. And when you're like, no, but you did it and it made you sad. So shouldn't you warn your child not to do that thing? Doesn't that make more sense? There's jobs that I have worked that made me feel bad. If my kids, I don't have kids yet, but if my kids want to do those jobs, I'll say, okay, you can go ahead and apply and do it, but just know there will be challenges. And if they come to me and say, this is too much for me, I want to do art, I want to do I want to do something else, I want to apply my mind, I will support them. Yes, there were times when I was a complete spoiled brat. Absolutely. But that does not mean that I deserve to be abused. And the older generation has a hard time differentiating between abuse and discipline. Grabbing somebody by the back of their neck. I mean, I'm just saying, this is something that a friend told me recently. Another friend who was 27 years old recently told me that his stepfather, because he didn't set the plates right or something like that on the table, his stepfather came up behind him and grabbed him by the back of his neck. This man, he was a boy, he was a child when this happened. This is what the older generation is doing. This is what they have done when we were children. And we're supposed to say, thank you. Thank you for doing that to me. Thank you for hitting me across my face. That just felt so good. Thank you for screaming at me and saying, you just don't know what you're doing, because I'm an 18-year-old girl who doesn't know what college she wants to go to. Thank you for screaming at me because I stood in your room and told you that I didn't know what college I wanted to go to at the age of 18 and you being in your 40s. Thank you for that. Thank you for all the times that you screamed at me and made sure that you didn't hear me. Thank you. Thank you for getting an attitude with me. Because I said that good men exist. I hope you marry a good man. Thank you for that. Thank you. But then again, let's have this thank you be genuine. Because if it wasn't for you doubting me and trying to convince me that I was a nobody and that I had nothing to offer, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be so motivated to be somebody and to do something with my life. So, actually, yeah. Thank you. That's where the anger comes in at for me. I have an intense anger streak, and it has gotten more intense because so many times I was trying to get it out that the way that my mother was speaking to me, it just wasn't right. It was really damaging my self-esteem. I was trying to get it out. And so many times the older people in response said, oh, you just one of them rebellious teenagers, or I wasn't even a teenager. I was actually like in my mid-20s or late 20s, and they'd be like, oh, you just one of them rebellious little teenagers, or oh, you just don't know anything, or oh, you just was being disrespectful to your mom. And I never was really able to get out what was really going on. Because, especially in the black community, the whole all black mothers are saints thing is toxic and it's dangerous. Especially saying this, like I just said, I had one friend, she was a black female, whose mother M-worded her when she was 6 years old. We gotta stop. We gotta stop. Of course, there are plenty of wonderful mothers, but we are not talking about them. Because there are so many not good mothers. There's a reason why social workers exist. There's a reason why foster care exists. There's a reason why child protective services exist. I've had enough of the older generation saying, we are your authority figures, and that's that. And whatever we tell you to do, do it. Even if it goes against your morals. Even if it's something that you don't feel is in alignment with your purpose and in alignment with your soul. Do it anyway, because we are your elders and we told you to do it. That is so dangerous on so many levels. That's why so many young women get taken advantage of by men. Because we're not supposed to question what they do. So if some old creep lures us in, we got to just be lured in because he's an older man, right? He's older, so obviously his intentions are good. And then next thing you know, you're being 3-letter word trafficked. Because he's an older man and old people are good. All old people have my best interest in mind. Like, what? But this is not some rainbow candy cane, sugar, gumdrop world. This is the real world. And age ain't got nothing to do with intention. Sometimes I just be filled up with so much passion and rage when I think about it. But let me calm down. Let me just relax, just bring in that humor, because I can get so, like, oh my God. I can just be so intense about this. Show some real genuine support for the younger generation who is trying to process their childhood abuse. Please have empathy. And don't just assume that when they rebel against you, it's because they're being some delinquent, stuck-up, spoiled child. When in reality, they just don't trust you because you're not trustworthy. And they think to themselves, maybe for once I'll run my life. Maybe things will go right. So anyway, I love y'all. Love yourself and love life. Yeah. Despite the fact that people be tripping. Love life. Love life. Love life. Even though these older folks be trying to press. Oh, I just spit on the screen. Hold on. Even though these older folks be trying to bear their egos down on you. Even though these older folks try to bear their egos down on you and tell you that your ideas don't mean nothing, that your ideas are not valuable like this. I, yeah.